What do you say to yourself when the going gets tough? When you're struggling to eat in a new way, to stop eating away your emotions? Do you yell at yourself like a drill sergeant? Do you coddle yourself like a baby? And what is the right thing to do? Listen up as we talk today about how to talk to yourself on your weight loss journey to help you get yourself to do the right things. You are listening to Weight Loss Made Real, and this is episode 250. I'm your host, Master Weight Loss Coach and author, Cookie Rosenblum. Today and every Tuesday, I am here to be your coach and your guide to help you end that emotional eating and lose that extra weight. If you just found me, welcome. And if you're a regular listener, welcome back, my friend. This is where we talk about your habit of emotional eating, which is the main focus of all the work I do. Here's where coaching meets psychology and psychology meets brain science. And this is where your problem ends. This is weight loss for the thinking woman. Before we begin, I want to remind you that this episode of Weight Loss Made Real is brought to you by the Freedom Group. These podcasts that you're listening to are created by me for you to share with you some new concepts for you to think about, to help you understand why you do what you do and why you're having trouble getting yourself to do something different. There's also another way to connect with me, and that is a free Facebook group called Weight Loss Made Real, just like this podcast. And it's a group that you can join that will help you talk about the podcast with other listeners. And finally, there is the Freedom Group, and that is where true change takes place with me as your coach. It's a monthly membership for smart women just like you who are ready to stop overeating from stress and habit and learn how to make space for happiness in their life. You can learn more about the Freedom Group in the show notes of this episode, or go to weightlossmadereal.com/group and get on that wait list so we could let you know when we are open for enrollment. All right, let's get started on your coaching session for today. Today, we're working on how to lose weight. Do you use compassion or do you use tough love? Or do you use meanness? Ooh, let's find out. So right now, as you're listening to this is the week of the Thanksgiving holiday in the U.S., which means lots of food, lots of family, lots of getting together with people, and yes, lots of eating. You may have thoughts about how much you're going to eat before you do it, and many of us have a lot of thoughts about how much we ate after the holiday. So I want you to look ahead and try to see how you want to end up, if it's your holiday, after Thanksgiving. And if you don't follow your plan, then today's episode can help you choose a different way to look at your mistakes. All right, so here's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about what happens when you struggle and how you talk to yourself. And is it helpful? Are there other options? That's what we're going to find out. So what happens when you struggle? What does it look like? When we're talking about eating and weight, your struggle usually comes when you try to do something new, something that's different than what you've always done. Eat in a different way. So you're trying something new and it's going to feel uncomfortable. It might even feel hard because it's new and you don't do it well yet. Of course you don't. It's new. So maybe you fall down. You fail at what you were trying to do. You know you have to get back up, but how do you motivate yourself to keep going? This is important. It's not just getting back up. It's how you do it, how you talk to yourself. Most likely, the way that you talk to yourself comes from what you've learned in your past. And think about this. What did your caregivers do when you were young and you failed while you were learning something new? most likely you are now doing the same thing to yourself. So as you listen, if you find your way of pushing yourself is not the most helpful, I don't want you to compound the damage by beating yourself up for doing it wrong. Just listen and see if you could hear other ways of self-motivation that are possible for you. So let's look at how you talk to yourself right now. Let's say that you're trying to wait to be hungry to eat. One of our core goals in the Eat, Think, Love program inside the Freedom Group is waiting to be hungry to eat. And that's one of the many things that allows you to learn how to become what you were a long time ago, a natural eater. So you're trying to do this and oops, someone offers you food, it looks good, and before you know it, it's in your mouth and you're enjoying it. But as soon as you're done, you realize that wasn't what you wanted to do in the big picture. It was just a momentary reaction to something that looked pleasurable to you. So you went for it. And then you finished and you start the recovery process. You talk to yourself to help yourself get back on track. Well, getting back on track, the way that I see it is that there are 3 main roads that you can choose from. So listen and tell me which one is what you most commonly do. The first way that you might be trying to motivate yourself is by being mean to yourself. And here's what it looks like. You might think or say things to yourself that sound like this. I cannot believe you just ate that. What is wrong with you? You know you said you wouldn't eat until you were hungry. You just keep failing. And if you keep on going, you might even think you can't get anything right. Now, is this your typical MO? I hope not. But if it is, don't feel bad on top of doing this to yourself because many, many people do. So if so, help is on the way. And I don't want you to waste a moment beating yourself up on top of being mean to yourself if this is how you talk when you slip into old habits. For now, I want you to just see if this is what you identify with as your typical way of talking to yourself after a slip from whatever you promised yourself you would do. Okay, so number 1 choice is be mean to yourself. Number 2 choice is to be compassionate to yourself. That means you're not beating yourself up and you're talking inside your head as if you were talking to a dear friend. And it's going to sound a little bit like this. Don't worry, honey. You did the best you could. Anyone would have eaten that. I would have eaten that. Well, just don't worry. You live and learn, right? You'll do better next time. You've got this. Go, girl. But my answer to that is this you? Now again, don't worry if it is. I know it feels better than being mean to yourself, right? But we're going to take a look at whether being that compassionate is truly helpful or not in getting you to do new hard things until they become second nature. So let's look at the last most common way you might talk to yourself when you didn't do what you promised you would do. We have the mean girl and we have the compassionate friend. But the third way is maybe you're giving yourself a dose of tough love. Maybe you're not being the mean drill sergeant, but maybe you're being the firm, understanding teacher. And if you are, maybe you say things to yourself like, honey, you did your best. I know you tried, but you have to try something different. You can definitely do this, but I want to see you be more accountable to yourself. You're taking the easy way out too often, and you're not getting what you want. So yes, I want you to push yourself. You know you want this, so let's do it. Doesn't that sound different? Well, that's a whole lot of mental talk all inside your head where no one hears it but you. But it all has the potential to have a profound effect on you and the results that you get. So which kind of talk works? and which should you drop? The first question I want you to ask yourself, once you could see what you're doing most of the time, is your self-talk working? Is it making you feel capable, or is it making you feel beaten down? Is it making you pay more attention to what you want to do? Is it motivating you to do the hard things, or is it making you feel like you'll just never get this? How does it make you feel? If it feels terrible, but you think that that's what's required for you to change, even though it feels bad, you might be inclined to keep using that kind of self-talk. But let's take a look at each of these 3 different ways of self-motivation and see what really works. So, number 1, mean girl. What happens when you're mean to yourself? You can probably guess what I'm going to say here if you've been listening to me, and here it is. Being mean to yourself is not the way to go. It makes you feel ashamed for who you are and what you did. It does not really push you to do better because it makes you feel disempowered, like no matter how hard you try, something must be wrong with you. And then you try to change from a negative place. And you think something like, I've got to do better. I've just got to make this happen. I hate what I just did. I hate how I ate. I should be punished. But by who? By you, of course. Or you might think, no rest for me until I get this done. I can't relax. No fun or pleasure until I lose weight. I don't deserve anything nice if I can't lose this weight. And if I don't stick to my plan, maybe I should eat even less. Now, I hope that this is not what you're saying to yourself. There's no benefit to being mean to yourself, even if nobody hears you but you. You're cutting yourself down, you're shaming yourself, and you're not motivating yourself to do better, the very thing that you want more than anything. When you're mean to yourself, you feel bad and you feel more hopeless about solving your eating struggle. So, if you're an emotional leader who wants to escape these negative feelings, what do you do when you're mean to yourself? You eat. You go to food to neutralize that mean voice in your head. And that is not exactly what you're trying for, right? All right, so mean, we're crossing it off the list. Number 2, let's see what it looks like when you're compassionate to yourself after a fail or a struggle. You might talk to yourself in a loving way that sounds like this. Don't worry. You can start again tomorrow. No harm done. Just get up and keep moving on. Don't worry about it. This is new for you. You're learning a new skill. Of course you'll fail. Just keep trying. So, is this way of talking to yourself helpful or not? What's your guess? Most of you will be thinking, well, it's better than being mean to myself. And yes, you're right. Of course it is. But is it what you want to do exclusively? Just keep giving yourself a gentle pat on the back of encouragement. Is it truly helpful to keep telling yourself that it's okay without looking at what could be different or better so that you don't keep making the same mistake over and over again? Because if you do keep making the same mistake, will it feel comforting to hear your compassionate voice without encouraging a change? Most likely, after a while, it's not really going to feel comforting. It may be surprising to learn that compassion alone is not always the most helpful thing. Yes, in the moment, it feels good, and it's absolutely better than being mean to yourself. But does it help you learn? Does it hold you accountable for what happened? Or does it just keep encouraging you to keep on going, maybe making that same mistake you just made without learning? And that is not really what you want. Compassion without accountability, it's not what we're going for. All right, so finally, let's open door number 3, tough love. What does tough love look like for you? Tough love self-talk will encourage you to do better. There's no beating, there's no internal secret name-calling, but it's better than just soothing words. It's like soothing words with a loving push. It's okay, honey. You forgot to do this. You forgot to see if you were hungry first. Now, don't worry. This is not the biggest mistake in the world, and you're learning something new, so of course you'll make mistakes. But I want you to learn from this mistake. Let's look at what happened. Where was the fork in the road when you slipped? What could you do next time? How can you move on and fail forward so next time is easier and better? I know you can do this, so let's move on from here after we figure it out. Okay, so we have meanness, we have compassion, and we have tough love. Let's put it all together and see how you can help yourself on this journey that you're on to lose the weight and lose the drama and the struggle. First, as you guessed, the mean girl has got to go. There is no upside to using that mean voice on yourself, even if no one else hears you. So let's ditch that mean approach totally. And let's keep the compassionate helper. It's okay to reassure yourself that it will be okay, that you can do better, that all is not lost, and that there's definitely hope that you can do this. But let's add that tough love friend. She is going to push you to do better in a gentle but firm way. She does not want to hear your excuses. She doesn't care what your lower brain says when you think, oh, no big deal. Every misstep you take is an opportunity to learn and grow and do better. And that's what you want, right? So we're keeping that compassionate inner friend and the tough love one too, who expects a lot from you in a kind, caring way. Those two versions of you are there in your head, and we're giving the boot to the mean girl. I want you to go into your week and know what your goals are for the week. Tiny ones that lead to big changes down the road. And as you fall down when you do something new, which you will, I want you to zero in and be aware of how you talk yourself through it. Your goal, compassionate and firm. Hold yourself to a higher standard. Don't just comfort yourself and move on. Comfort yourself and move on with an understanding that's deeper than you had before you made the mistake. You can do this. Okay, my friend, that's it for this subject in our coaching session today. You know what you're going to focus on and think about this coming week. Just take one little thing at a time, one little step at a time. A few years ago, I wrote a book called Clearing Your Path to Permanent Weight Loss. The reason I wrote this book was that so many of my clients came to me wanting to be told what to do to lose weight. But what I found was that they were neglecting an important part of the equation. They needed to first step back and figure out why they had the problem in the first place. This book will help you see exactly what went wrong and what are the simple lessons you need to learn in order to move forward and not just lose the weight or change how you eat, but finally be able to lose the whole problem. Now, the book is on Amazon as a paperback, but you can download it from my website if you are on my email list. So take a look at the show notes and be sure to get on that list so I could send you the full copy. This is not an ebook, guys. This is a full-length book, and it will help you tackle all the reasons you failed in the past. You could just go to weightlossmadereal.com/book or go to the link in the show notes. I hope to see you back here next week where we will continue to work together on your emotional eating and that habitual overeating little by little until they both become habits that you used to have. We know that's your goal. So for now, this is your Coach Cookie reminding you that as you search for answers, keep it real, just like you. And I will see you next week.